A very lovely afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on Nationwide today. My name is Ogochukwu Ona, and we are live in Abuja. Thank you for joining us. Port Harcourt Refinery has commenced production with about 200 trucks expected to be lifted daily. NTA's energy correspondent, Lydia Sampson, already in Port Harcourt, reports that all products ranging from petrol, diesel and kerosene are to be lifted. The usual flare indicative of a fully energized refinery is already visible, and this development, coming after a series of delays and mixed deadlines, many say, is significant. This is because the revival of the Port Harcourt refinery is expected to significantly boost Nigeria's domestic fuel supply. We'll bring you more updates in our subsequent news. And now President Bola Tinubu extends his heartfelt congratulations to the National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, on the successful revitalization of the Port Harcourt refinery, marked by the official commencement of petroleum product loading on November 26, 2024. Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nanuga, in a statement, says the President acknowledges the pivotal role of former President Muhammadu Buhari in initiating the comprehensive rehabilitation of all refineries and expresses gratitude to the African Export-Import Bank for its confidence in financing these critical projects. Furthermore, President Tinubu commends the leadership of NNPC Limited's Group Chief Executive Officer, Mele Kyari, whose unwavering dedication and commitment were instrumental in overcoming challenges to achieve this milestone. He says, with the successful revival of the Port Harcourt refinery, President Tinubu urges NNPC Limited to expedite the scheduled reactivation of both the second Port Harcourt refinery as well as Warri and Kaduna refineries. These efforts will significantly enhance domestic production capacity alongside the contributions of privately owned refineries and make our country a major energy hub with the gas sector also enjoying unprecedented attention by the administration. The President underscores his administration's determination to repair the nation's refineries, aiming to eradicate the disheartening perception of Nigeria as a major crude oil producer that lacks the ability to refine its own resources for domestic consumption. Highlighting the values of patience, integrity and accountability in the rebuilding of the nation's infrastructure, President Tinubu calls upon individuals, institutions and citizens entrusted with responsibilities to maintain focus and uphold trust in their service to the nation. Bayo Nanuga also says, in alignment with the renewed hope agenda focused on shared economic prosperity for all, the President reaffirms his administration's commitment to achieving energy sufficiency, enhancing energy security, and boosting export capacity for Nigeria. And now the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says it won't hesitate to sanction banks and agents hoarding cash as it remains committed to addressing cash crunch witnessed across the country. At the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the CBN Governor, Olayemi Kadoso, said the committee voted to raise monetary policy rates by 25 basis points to 27.50% to further tackle inflation. The committee retains cash reserve ratio at 50% for deposit money banks and 16% for merchant banks, liquidity ratio at 30% and a symmetric corridor at plus 500 and minus 100 basis points around the MPR. Speakers at the second edition of the Nigeria Politics Online Reports agree that Nigeria's biggest challenge to development is revenue shortage and spending. Benny Adams reports that the speakers recommend strategic application of funds for economic growth.
Revenue generation, infrastructure progress, options in a challenged economy. The speakers say there is no better strategy to solving Nigeria's revenue challenge than the present tax bills at the National Assembly, which they believe is key to unlocking Nigeria's revenue potential.
Nigeria say that this law that is still going through the National Assembly in various discussions, is, in my view, the best that anybody can give to this country at this point in time. Shortage of infrastructure in the road sector, education sector, in the health sector, security and all that. The crises are there. And you have a government that is so determined to change the course. But where is the money coming from?
While Nigeria's revenue collecting agencies have declared revenues that reflect annual targets being surpassed in the first 3 quarters of the year, speakers here say application of these funds remain the issue.
A man who runs a barber shop, for example, if he's not careful, he might not make ends meet. If he spends more money buying fuel to run the business.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service believes that the country needs new taxpayers, a strategy that focuses on expanding the tax base to include more individuals and businesses.
Taxpayers who are gainfully employed, who are involved in some kind of business, to be able to pay the taxes. So we do need new taxes. But this administration knows also that we need new taxpayers. And we're doing all in our power to ensure that happens.
The speakers also recommend exploring alternative financing options to include leveraging green financing, bonds, and other long-term finance instruments that can provide Nigeria with the necessary funds to drive growth and development. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Activities of some scrap metal dealers in Anambra State have become a source of worry to residents who want relevant authorities to rise to the occasion. To this end, Anambra State government has begun registration and certification of the dealers to check criminality and legalize their operations. Chinyere Fesi Okoye reports.
Sometimes they come out as early as 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning along streets and roads in various parts of Anambra State, including villages, with a shout of "I condemn" to draw the attention of residents who may have some used or unwanted metals for sale at giveaway prices. This class of businessmen actually help in the chain of business of waste to wealth and job creation for those involved. But recently, their presence has left residents in fear.
We have had cases where somebody is shouting "I condemn." He has a big Ghana must go bag. Before you know it, you see somebody's generator. And it has a very bad effect on infrastructure in Anambra State.
And they're helping households to evacuate some of their used products or used items or equipment in the house. However, most of them are using the umbrella of scavenging for iron to steal.
It kind of creates wealth. Those things that you don't need, you don't know that is worth anything. When they pick it, they sell, and that's the kind of empowerment. That's the positive side I'm looking at. But coming to the negative side, it has been known, it has been proven that most of them are not asked to empower themselves or to make a living out of it.
In the past, we have arrested so many of them. Even has to do with burgling of EEDC, cable wires. They have to go as far as even digging up the ground and bringing out those cable wires. We have arrested some of them. We want to use this opportunity to discourage persons that are doing this.
In spite of all odds, considering the benefits of having these scrap dealers around, relevant authorities should endeavor to always closely monitor their operations to ensure they do not do more harm than good to the citizens. In Oka, Chinyere Fesi Okoye, NTA News.
And Chinyere is standing by live to bring us an update on the level of compliance and achievement by the state government. Hello, Chinyere. So can you give us the latest updates now?
Thank you very much for joining us in Oka. In view of the nefarious activities of some of these scrap metal dealers across Anambra State, the state government has actually begun profiling them and has mapped out designated pits to check their activities. However, I have the Commissioner for Environment, Felix Odimegu, here with me to tell us how far so far with the measures they've put in place, whether they have actually achieved the desired results. Mr. Commissioner,
Yeah,
has the measures in place achieved the desired results?
Yes, actually what we're doing in the state is profiling the metal scrap dealers. We didn't really ban metal waste management, but what we're saying is that the nefarious activities of illegal participants who engage in vandalization of public and private goods and then dealing with stolen items should be brought to a zero. So we are profiling all the scavengers in the state. We've designated that all the scavengers should move to the landfills and the dump sites where they can scavenge for items for recycling. And then every dealer in metal scraps would have their pits registered with their locations and names and means of identification, so that from time to time the agents of the state government will visit those pits to make sure that they are not getting involved in purchase and sale of vandalized public items or stolen goods. We are doing this in such to make sure that the bad eggs that are involved in this, who engage in criminal activities, are fully put to a stop. So far, we are achieving the results that the state government intended to achieve. The number of scavengers that are wandering about at odd hours has really reduced, and then we'll make sure that those of them who do not want to engage legally and lawfully will be removed from the state.
Okay, after this registration, what next? How will the residents know the authentic ones? Any identification?
Yes, every profiled scavenger will be given an ID card that looks like this, with their name and number for identification. So anywhere they are seen by agents of government, they will produce this ID card to show that they are authentic scavengers, and they won't be seen at odd hours, at odd places inside the cities. Their main place for scavenging is at the dump sites. These are the designated places for the scavengers to do their scavenging activities. But for the dealers who have pits, their pits will be identified, and they are issued certificates like this. And from time to time, the ministry agents will visit those pits, look at the items that are dealing on to make sure they don't deal with vandalized items that are of public importance.
Okay, at the expiration of the registration, what will be the fate of those who fail to comply?
Yes, any dealer who has failed to identify himself with the state government, they will have their pits sealed up until they comply with the extant laws in the state. And any scavenger seen wandering at odd hours will be deemed to be engaging in illegal activity, and they will be put to a stop.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, and that's the update on the activities of scrap metal dealers in Anambra State. Any moment from now, those that fail to comply will face the full wrath of the law.
Thank you very much, Chinyere, and of course our guest there. Thank you so much for the update. And now back in Abuja, President Tinubu has requested the House of Representatives to confirm the appointment of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as the Chief of Army Staff of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Lieutenant General Oluyede has been serving in acting capacity since his appointment. President Tinubu, in a letter read on the floor of the House by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, says the acting Chief of Army Staff has displayed exceptional leadership, professional and unwavering commitment to the security and continued stability of the nation and the progress of the armed forces.
Education, experience and contributions to the Nigerian Army and the nation at large makes him well suited for this very important role. While I'm confident that the House of Representatives will consider and confirm the nominee, please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, the assurances of my highest consideration.
Adopting a motion of urgent public importance, the House urged the federal government to secure the electricity transmission towers in Rivers and Bayelsa states, as well as others, under threat of vandalism in parts of the country.
In another East local government area of Rivers State, some hoodlums went and vandalized a section of the line. The Speaker of the House is disturbed that by this development, the war of the residents of Bayelsa State will subsist for 1 or 2 days. Because as we speak, the people of the state are in total blackout. All the federal government through the Ministry of Interior to urgently provide adequate security for these transmission towers across the country to avoid future occurrence of vandalism.
The House referred the matter to its Committee on Interior for further legislative action. And our Senate has commended Nigerian military for repelling and eliminating Boko Haram insurgents who came in their hundreds to carry out an attack in Kukawa local government area of Benin State on Sunday. This is sequel to a matter of personal explanation raised by the Senate Chief Whip, Mohammed Tahir Mongono. He told the Senate that the security personnel also succeeded in recovering sophisticated arms from the terrorists. Meanwhile, Senate has mandated the Committee on Army to screen the Acting Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Oluyede, following the request of President Tinubu seeking his confirmation. And now health, the future of cancer treatments in Nigeria is looking brighter as the country is set to establish 6 cutting-edge cancer treatment centers nationwide. This is coming from the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, during an oversight visit by the National Assembly Joint Committee on Health. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
The National Assembly Joint Committee on Health arrived at the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare for their maiden oversight visit. Received by the Coordinating Minister, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, the visit underscored the National Assembly's renewed commitment to holding the ministry accountable for its mandate. Led by Senator Epalibo Harry Banigo, chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, the legislators came with clear intentions to assess the ministry's financial performance, ensure compliance with budgetary allocations, and identify hurdles in delivering critical health services to Nigerians.
An audited financial account for the year 2022. If it's available, we would like to have a copy of it.
Professor Pate presented a detailed report on the ministry's achievements, among them the commitment in the treatment of diseases such as malaria, typhoid, and the groundbreaking cancer treatment centers, made possible by the full disbursement of capital components of the 2023 health budget and 20% release and utilization of the 2024 capital allocation so far. He also noted strides in expanding national health insurance coverage to improve accessibility and affordability for millions of Nigerians.
And by May 2025, 3 of the 6 cancer infrastructure equipment will begin to be opened.
But also in your budget, I believe you have something for cancer treatments.
And we'll ensure that that is factored in if we're to submit anything in the future.
On typhoid fever, it is out there as much as malaria. I just want to know what you're trying to do about that.
There are treatments that are available that can deal with it. Linked to it, there is prevalence of antimicrobial resistance because people are using antibiotics anyhow.
The minister stressed the ministry's dedication to implementing the National Health Act of 2014, which continues to serve as a blueprint for health sector reforms. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And more reports from our Lagos Network Center. Adiola is standing by. Hello, Adiola. Over to you. Center. Adiola.
Ogachukuka. Cross-border trade within the West African sub-region is expected to gain more mileage with the formal launch of ECOWAS Electronic Certificate of Origin, a digital system introduced by the ECOWAS Commission to enhance trade facilitation and elimination of delays. Joe Akpokwola reports that electronic certification of origin to be used in the 4 pilot countries, which are Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, and Cote d'Ivoire, will be extended to other countries in the sub-region.
The ECOWAS Commission has over the years been inundated with a barrage of complaints on the encumbrances of cross-border movement of goods, which culminated into a 4-year strategic plan, and the electronic certificate of origin is the end product. This, the Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture, represented by the Director of Customs Union and Taxation, Salifu Temtore, says will deepen integration and propel speedy economic growth.
Today, it is possible from a country to send to another country a digitalized document, so the country of destination will receive the document through informatic system.
Aisata Yamego Kofi, Principal Program Officer, Tariff and Customs, who is part of the technical work group set up in 2019 for the electronic certificate of origin, says the newly launched system allows for electronic signing of certificates which are digitally approved by customs of exporting countries before being securely transmitted to the importing country's customs administration.
So before even the exporter, the goods arrives in the importing country, the customs has the information in the system, and they will just be confirming it to reduce time. So cost also will reduce, of course, waste of time will reduce the cost in the final destination.
You are sure of the legitimacy of it because you know the source. Secondly, you cannot reuse it again.
Representatives of the World Customs Organization, the African Development Bank, and the German Development Agency all commended the initiative and promised to deepen their collaboration with the ECOWAS Commission. The consensus is that the initiative will guarantee favorable economic indices in West Africa within few months. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
1 in every 3 women worldwide suffer violence, and according to the United Nations, these alarming statistics underscore the urgency for collective and effective intervention to put an end to violence against women and girls, which can take many forms, including physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. Diana Ajali will tell us more.
Over time, violence against women and girls have remained an ugly trend, particularly among partners. Data by the United Nations shows that 38% of murders of women are committed by intimate partners, and a study by the World Health Organization reveals that 200 million girls and women have undergone female genital mutilation, while 1 in 5 women experience violence during pregnancy.
Those who do these acts of violence, there's nothing being done against them. They tend to get away with it.
As Africans, we all believe that a woman is supposed to be submissive to her husband. So mostly men just take that advantage.
There are several factors. Violence against women, this activist said, is not just a women's issue, but a human rights issue. It is a crisis that affects families, communities, and societies as a whole.
We need the bad eggs to be smoked out, and most of the time, those women are women who are economically vulnerable. They have fear about the future, especially women with children, because they are not economically independent.
We should come together and have a multi-stakeholder approach where everyone is tackling this thing.
To achieve SDG 5, which centers around eliminating violence against women by 2030, respondents believe access to justice and services for survivors, education, financial strength, as well as promoting gender equality are key. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
And we are done from Lagos for now. Nationwide will continue with Fatima in Makurdi when we return from this break.
Fortibet sponsors coverage of the English Premier League.
Thanks for joining us in Makurdi. The Nigerian Army engineers will continue to leverage modern technology and innovation for enhanced effectiveness. Commander Corps of Engineers Major General Philip Eromosele disclosed this at the 4th Quarter Conference and Inter-Formation Competition in Makurdi. Blessing Omeche Ebute completes the report.
The Nigerian Army Engineers 4th Quarter Conference holding at the Nigerian Army School of Military Engineering, Makurdi, is aimed at reviewing the course activity of the year 2024 and develop strategies for enhanced operational support to the Nigerian Army.
I also appreciate the CC's unflinching contribution in introducing innovation and ingenuity to enhancing Nigerian Army engineers' evolution to meet contemporary best practices in addressing administrative and operational challenges.
Commander Corps of Engineers Major General Philip Eromosele outlined the achievements of the Corps to include remarkable training activities, construction of many projects across Army formations, among others.
Formation commanders must embrace innovation and adapt training to accurately reflect the realities in the field.
There were lectures presented by various speakers. A minute's silence was observed for the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, in Makurdi. Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
The Benin State Police Command, in its renewed commitment to mop up crimes in the state, has arrested 34 suspected cultists terrorizing the North Bank area of the state. The suspects were paraded at the Police Command's headquarters in Makurdi. Blessing Omeche Ebute again has details.
North Bank area of Makurdi, Benin State has been in the news lately as cult activities have made life unbearable for its residents. In a renewed effort to combating crime and criminal elements, a joint team made up of the Benin State Police Command, the Nigerian Army, and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps have carried out a raid leading to the arrest of 33 suspected cultists in various hideouts.
On the 14th November, at about 1:20 hours, information was received by the DPOC division of the death of a cultist, suspected cultist, within this area of jurisdiction at North Bank. It swiftly deployed detectives to the scene where arrest was made. In the course of investigation, it was revealed that the death of the suspected cultist was a result of rival cult clash.
The command also paraded a gun runner who was arrested during a routine stop and search duty along Ikyobe, Agabe Road in Oshongo local government area. Items recovered from the suspects include 4 locally made pistols, 3 live cartridges, 1 single-barrel gun, a laptop, phones, illicit substances, charms, among others. In Makurdi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
And that's it from Makurdi. It's now back to Ogochukwuka in Abuja.
Thank you, Fatima, for your contribution. Now, Kogi State is a gateway connecting the north and southern parts of the country, accounting for the high vehicular movements across the state. As the festive season approaches, vehicular movement is expected to increase with its attendant road safety challenges. Correspondent Solomon Ahedei in this report examines some of these challenges and the way forward.
The centrality of Kogi State in the north-central Nigeria positions it as a transit state, connecting other parts of the country, including the FCT. This movement is all year round, making the state a melting pot for vehicles and travelers during festivities.
We'll always have this heavy vehicular movement in Kogi State. Even without the festive period in place, commercial vehicles traveling day and night all pass through Lokoja and they stop over. So it's not unusual.
To ensuring free flow of traffic and reduce road traffic accidents before, during and after the festivities become expedient. The Federal Road Safety Corps Kogi State Command has been at the forefront of sensitizing the motoring public on safe motoring, geared towards reducing crashes on Kogi roads.
The relevant is just to sensitize the motoring public to be cautious of their environment, to obey traffic rules and regulations at this period of the year.
Other motorists and road users are of the opinion that safety on road should be a collective one, calling for conscious efforts aimed at supporting the Federal Road Safety Corps to succeed on its mandate.
To approach this Yuletide, we need all hands to be on deck. The road safety officials should do their job. The motor transport officers should do their own job.
Well, it is a festive season. As you can see, everybody is, there's a serious hustling and bustling, and people are excited. Overexcitement may lead to drinking of alcohol. So I will say to our people, don't drink and drive. If you must drive, don't drink.
As the festive season approaches, road users are expected to be safety conscious, obey traffic rules and regulations to reduce crashes and unnecessary deaths throughout the season. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
Solomon Ayedehi joins us from Lokoja to provide more insight into traffic challenges ahead of the Yuletide, amidst efforts by stakeholders to sensitize road users on safe motoring throughout the season. Hello, Solomon. Could you give us an insight to what the traffic situation used to be during the festive periods in Kogi State, particularly on the Abuja-Lokoja highway?
I'm right at Natako area of Lokoja, and you will agree with me that it is the entry point between the north and the southern part of the country, because the strategic location of Kogi State has placed the state as a link between the north and the southern part of the state. And this accounts for high vehicular movement. Don't also forget that the state is bordered by 10 states, including FCT, and people crisscrossing the country passes through Lokoja on daily basis. And during festive period, the traffic movement is expected to be higher. This is because people will want to travel home for one engagement or the other. And as such, they pass through Lokoja, making Lokoja a melting point for travelers. Meanwhile, in the course of traveling, some of the motorists or road users tend to undermine the rules and regulations guiding the movement on routes as prescribed by the Federal Road Safety Corps. And this has always accounted for road crashes that happened majorly on this road. And don't forget that majority of the crashes is as a result of overspeeding. And we pray that as we go into the festive period, the road will be safer for motorists this time around.
What is the focus of this year's Ember Months campaign? You could remind us by the road safety, and how relevant is the theme to achieving safer motoring before, during, after the festivities?
January and October 2024, the state witnessed 2,219 persons involved in road crashes. Out of this figure, 757 were injured and 130 were killed in road crashes. And for the Road Safety Corps in Kogi State, it is one death too many. And this has engineered the Corps to go all out to sensitize the motoring public to ensure that road crashes are reduced on particularly Abuja-Lokoja highway in the festive period. They engage stakeholders in motor parks, churches, and even schools to ensure that they are all aware of the need for everybody to work together to ensure that the roads are safe. The theme for this year's Ember Month launch was Speak Up Against Dangerous Driving. Crashes kill more passengers than drivers. The road safety officials tend to educate commuters to exercise their rights. If you see a driver driving roughly, you have the right to challenge the driver and tell him to slow down so that he can take you to your destination safely. I think that is the target, and the effort is on, and they are not relenting to ensure that Kogi routes are safe throughout this festive period.
Very well, Solomon. It is a collective responsibility. We have to stay alive to celebrate. Thank you for your contribution. Has more reports.
Port Harcourt. Across the bank of Otame River from Umuebuleche axis, River State, lies a community, Aloma, still in its natural state but rich in agriculture and known as heaven for oil production. Aloma is endowed with arable land for rice cultivation, oil production, among other things, but access to the community is a huge challenge for business operators. Kingsley Amaji was there and now tells us more.
It was an adventure navigating through the narrow Otamri River into Aloma community. At the Aloma side of the river bank, the site of harvested oil palm fruits and receptive inhabitants caught our attention. Chidin Joko, who led us into Aloma, tells us how his late father cultivated rice around the swampy areas. Aside from palm wine tapping, cassava, plantain, the business of oil processing is a thriving venture which has continued to attract business operators and petty traders to the area.
I come all the way from Port Harcourt. The access road sometimes is bush paths, bush track. So sometimes if our vehicle cannot pass the bush track, we cross water.
With well over 25 hectares of oil palm scattered in Aloma, Peter Nodim, who manages a local oil mill, says they produce over 2,000 liters per day. The downside of this thriving activity is the fact that oil palm processing and production is still being carried out using crude technology, limiting the domestic outputs.
We get many palms, like millions of palms here, and no road to cross go sell it. We produce oil in quantity. We get almost 500 and something women where they do the work.
We don't have any rural electrification. We don't have pipe-borne water. And we are asking that government should help us to elevate our little efforts.
Beyond the limitation of technology for mass oil palm production, access to the community is another challenge the people of Aloma in a local government area are faced with, as they find it difficult to convey the abundant agricultural produce in the area to the city center, particularly as the federal government is taking steps to diversify the nation's economy in order to reduce over-dependence on oil and gas.
This is a community in its natural state, begging for government attention, and the people are willing to do their best to contribute to the national GDP. I'm Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The digital era has made transactions and other services in the banking and financial industry seamless. However, this is not without its attendant challenges. Joe Zoe in this report highlights some failures in the banking system and the way forward.
The banking sector is a constant denominator and crucial to the economy, aside from catering to the financial needs of customers through transfers and withdrawals that leverage on computer applications and other electronic equipment. Banks, as a primary supplier of credit, provide money for people to meet basic needs and also provide financial support for business operators to expand their operations and meet their payrolls. In spite of these crucial roles, identified challenges like poor networks and recurrent upgrades with their attendant consequences are noted to not only store efficiency but incur losses for teeming customers.
Like if you want to go to bank, there's a lot of people in the bank. So if you want to withdraw, you cannot get up to like 100,000. The banks, you just get to POS and withdraw your money, but you have to pay for charges.
And even when you have done the transfer and you've gotten a debit, there's a reversal. And then that now begins to cause a problem between you and your own customers, for example, because you've told the customer you've paid, you've sent them evidence of payment, and then there's now a reversal.
The impact of these limitations overwhelm and psychologically affect consumers, especially in this era of limited income. This has necessitated a call to banks and their regulators to devise more proactive approach to strengthen their operations.
When central bank gives a bank branch, let me say 500 million, and the bank branch dispenses that, the other way to get it is deposit from bank customers. But you and I know that in Nigeria today, bank customers don't bring money anymore.
As the year 2024 gradually rose to a halt, volume of transactions are bound to increase due to heightened spending associated with the seasonal festivities. Hence, the renewed call to banks to meet their customers halfway with the best of service delivery. In Port Harcourt, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
And that does it from Port Harcourt. The news will continue in Maiduguri right after the break. Good evening.
Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas.
Hope you are still on to the Nigerian Television Authority. The news belt now continues in Maiduguri. Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum has called for a comprehensive review of Nigeria's education system to address the disconnect between educational institutions and the needs of industries. The governor stated this during a courtesy visit by the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, Akintunde Sawyer, at the Government House, Maiduguri. Here is Mohammed Goni with the rest of the story.
Governor Zulum expressed concern that many graduates produced by higher institutions lack the necessary skills to drive innovation and technological advancement. He urged NELFAN to critically assess the issue and implement solutions that enable graduates to become self-employed rather than depend on limited job opportunities.
NELFAN is one of the federal government newly established institution that has been doing exceedingly well.
The governor further encouraged NELFAN to support entrepreneurship, technical education, and vocational training programs. He pledged to mobilize local government chairmen and traditional rulers to raise awareness about the program, noting its importance for underprivileged students who wish to pursue higher education. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFAN, Mr. Akintunde Sawyer, highlighted the fund's mission to tackle the growing issues of students dropping out due to financial constraints. He noted that the loan is interest-free, with repayment set at 10% of the recipient's income upon securing employment. Mr. Suya was accompanied by the Vice Chancellor of the Borno State University, Professor Babagana Gutti, and representatives of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
Away from that now to tell you that empowering women through access to education, economic opportunities and leadership roles is essential in breaking the cycle of violence and inequality. This was emphasized by the wife of Borno State Governor, Dr. Falmata Babagana Umar Zulum, during the commemoration of the 16 days of activism. Murjanatu Hassan reports from the multipurpose hall of the Government House, Maiduguri.
The 16 days of activism observed annually worldwide focuses on raising awareness, advocating for change and taking action to end violence against women and girls. In her address, Dr. Falmata Zulum highlighted the devastating impact of the Boko Haram insurgency, which has deepened vulnerabilities, leaving women and girls disproportionately affected by sexual violence, forced displacement, and economic hardship.
Harmful social norms and promoting healthy relationships. Strengthening legal frameworks to ensure laws protecting women and girls are robust, enforced effectively, and that perpetrators are held accountable.
Speaking on this year's theme, tracing the root causes standing against gender-based violence, the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Zoera Gambo, called for an end to harmful cultural norms and practices that normalizes violence against women.
We empower these girls. We have removed one of the traces or one of the factors that is responsible for GBV.
Key stakeholders at the event stressed the importance of collective responsibility in creating a better future for women, girls, and survivors of gender-based violence. They also outlined strategies for raising awareness through comprehensive campaigns to educate communities, amplify survivors' voices, address their needs, and uphold their rights. In Maiduguri, Murjanatu Hassan, NTA News.
This is nationwide on the Nigerian Television Authority. Ogochukwuka in Abuja has more reports for us this evening.
Abubakar, thank you so much. Now, Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, is set to unveil the winner in the Every Home or Garden competition. She announced this after a final selection preview